Hey guys, just checking I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. It's taken me ages to get to, but tonight I'm hoping to focus on what we dyslexics and dyslexic thinking can contribute to Italian football and Celtic. I'm reminded myself of like Made by Dyslexia and Kate Griggs when she talks about welcome to another episode of Dyslexic Thinking and lessons in dyslexic thinking. I suppose I'm being slightly inspired by such, but I came up with the idea. I was thinking about what I wanted to contribute to different, what dyslexics could contribute to Italian football teams and Celtic, which I hope to come to. Today I thought it's a Wednesday. I thought I can't remember. I think it was probably a couple of days ago when I came up with this idea to cover, or maybe it was yesterday, to cover for today to cover what we could contribute to Italian football and Celtic. So what dyslexic thinking can contribute to such. These are pointers number 1 to 10. I hope you enjoy them. I'm trying to raise my voice a little bit because I know I do have quite a quiet voice, but I'll come to that in a second or so. So here you go. So these are pointers number 1 to 10. It's took me ages to get around to this because my mate put my name down, I think, for volunteering somewhere, and so I was helping that sort of thing, which is quite interesting. It's a place near to me, but I've never actually been there. Or I went there about almost 30 years ago, but I've never been to that building. So it was interesting to see him get involved in some of the stuff and find out some of the activities they've got for helping older people. Although I'd love to help younger people more, but I'd love to help people generally, whether younger or older. But from a more selfish point of view, I'd love to support Italian football. But it's almost 10 o'clock, but it's almost about 10:15 at night here. But I was hoping to have started this ages ago, but by the time I had my granddad nap and stuff like that, I went to all these different places and I went to the gym for a bit, and I decided to go a bit early and things like that. So I was set back with time. But on that note, here goes. So number 1, my friend Rory messaged me and he said, thanks for sharing your videos and information. It's good you put yourself out there. But he sent me a voice tip on Facebook saying, I won't say his full name because in case he doesn't want me to, but basically he said that you need to improve your voice quality because people won't be able to hear it unless they're wearing headphones or whatever. They won't be able to hear it. So sorry about my quiet voice. Not a huge amount I can do that. I know my brother got me a microphone. He's got me quite a few things, so I should be very appreciative of that. But I think I damaged it when I put it in. Sometimes the sound wasn't working at all when I heard it back. So I thought I'd rather at least have some sound than risk having none. So although it's a shame because I did have that microphone. But the other thing is, sorry if the lighting's a bit low. It took a while to get to it, and it's recording at night. It gets dark really quickly as well now in the UK. About 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. it starts getting dark. Or sometimes like 2 o'clock. It's a nightmare. For me, I keep putting all lights on, and my mum turns them off and whatever. But I've got 3 lamps on, but they're over that side of the room. But so sorry if the lighting's not very good. And also, I'm getting a bit off topic. And the other thing is my friend Rory. So there's the lighting and the sound. And my friend said, I know I do struggle to get to the point, but it was good. He reminded me, I guess. I kind of know these things already because people have told me before. So, but please do forgive me because I'm a creature of habit and I do have my flaws. I don't think they're all dyslexia related. Sometimes they're just a Michael thing or a me thing or whatever. I don't want to give a bad name to any other Michaels out there. But there's three of us Michaels in this coffee morning I go to, and I say it's triple trouble. Someone said we're like the 3 wise men. I said I wish I was wise. But so sorry about any of the flaws, and some of them are not. I do want to say that and stress that like a lot of my traits, like my terrible punctuation, have the world's poorest punctuation and things like that, are not dyslexic traits. I don't want to give my fellow dyslexics a bad rep, but obviously dyslexics do have weaknesses. But I don't know where my strange punctuation comes from. Admittedly, I just sort of guess and have habits and patterns about it, whatever. But it would be cool if I could have my writing style the way I write, and then in brackets, almost like a translation, like Google Translate, about what it's supposed to say. But anyway, I thought I'd say that for point number one. I got to admit as well, I was struggling to think about ideas to cover for this specifically, but I did think of a few. It took me a while to think of ideas and try to avoid distractions. But so I'm going to move on, talking about trying to get to a point, and not, like I said, I don't have half an hour to listen to the videos, which is fair enough. But if people listen to as much as they can, I really appreciate that, even if it's for whatever time or over a certain period of time, like pausing them and going back to them or whatever. I appreciate people listening to my videos as much as possible. I suppose the main thing is listening to the ideas rather than watching them, I guess, but it'd be cool if people did both. So moving on, number two, on the subject of not knowing a huge amount of what to cover in this video and struggling to avoid distractions, and I know I am a creature of habit, like I've got tips from people like Rory and others. I had a ring light, but I don't know if I seem to have a pad. I seem to have the Midas touch in reverse. Like one of my sisters got me a ring light. You might have noticed it in my previous videos on YouTube. If you look back at them, I'm sure you'll see some of them had my ring light, but it kept going on and off, so I got frustrated with that, so I stopped using that. As I did have a microphone, but I seem to have damaged that. So it's got no audio at all, so I think it's better to have some audio than none, I guess. I'm trying to be louder, but risking that, but I've just got to find a way to what's the word? Elevate my voice. I need to go to elocution lessons, as my dad says. I need to go to elocution lessons. But anyway, I need to speak more clearly, I know, sorry, and I need to get to the point. But yeah, if anyone's got tips, I mean, people might say I'll give you tips, but I am a creature of habit, but I also don't have a huge amount of money to afford the equipment. And I had these plans for these videos beforehand, but I'm going to try and do more interviews. That's another thing. So if anyone would, I'd love to interview people with dyslexia or be interviewed by people with dyslexia, like I did with Alicia. I'm hoping to do more of those with Alicia and other people. So if you're interested and you've got dyslexia, please let me know. Or any related conditions. Also, fans of Italian football and also fans of Celtic as well. I'm hoping to have Zoom groups with like one-to-one and street interviews and Zoom chats with such people. So yeah, if you're interested, please either PM me on either inbox me or whatever. I got in trouble once for saying PM, that's private message. Someone thought I meant something else, but I just mean like inbox. I say PM, like private message, but I don't mean it like that. This was a guy who probably thought I was gay or something, but I won't reveal that whether I am or not. So I keep people guessing. But anyway, sorry, talking about getting to the point. But yeah, if you are interested in that kind of, not in that kind of thing, but in interviewing, in being interviewed or interviewing me or collaborating, basically, as I say, I'd love to do one-to-one interviews, street interviews, maybe get a mic and go onto the street, or get my phone if I'm more confident and talk on that. But it'd be good to have a mic as well, mic up like some people do, like street interviews and stuff like that, and also Zoom chats mainly as well, preferably with groups as well, dyslexics. But also, I'd love to know, talking about the point I was going to mention is like, sorry, again, talking about getting to the point, is that what do you think dyslexics could contribute to Italian football and struggle? So I'd love to know people out there, so please let me know. But yes, also sharing tactics and strategies. I think of like point number one is getting things started, and sometimes you'll start like messy or not so well, but then you improve as you go along. So I think point number two is like improving learning and things like that. But also I think of like learning and teaching, training, and that kind of thing. And I live on that note and part of my bucket list, if you like, and my purpose and mission in life is to go with groups of, say, dyslexics or others to Italy and to Celtic, to Glasgow Celtic, which I've been talking about, and talk about how we could help them to become world class and as good as possible. I was thinking like world class Wednesdays, and basically to win, to make Italian football world class again, and to help Celtic to become world class and continue to dominate in Scotland. And yeah, to share tactics, tic-tacs, and that kind of thing, and strategies, tactics and whatnot to improve Italian football and Celtic as much as possible. I want to be as world class as possible, as good as possible, basically. I'm thinking, again, why is that with W because it's Wednesday? But also, yeah, I'd love anyone who can help me with like getting travel together with my fellow dyslexics and other groups, maybe on Dyscalculics, Dysgraphics, and others, to go and travel to Italy. As I often mentioned, life is a numbers game, you can't win them all, but if I can get as many dyslexics as possible to help with that, it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I think I'm going to move on to point number three, which is thinking about what we could contribute, again, going back to the topic of the title. Bringing it back to the topic of the title is, I think that we could contribute innovative ideas and things like which I hope to come to. As I say, I'd love to encourage as many dyslexics around the world as possible. So there may be many dyslexics who are not interested, which is fair enough, but I'd love to put the idea out there and encourage as many dyslexics as possible and have a project where we show what we can do for a range of groups. Italian football, Celtic, Africa, Asia, Latin America, basically emerging market economies and whatnot. But for these particular videos, I'm hoping to focus on Italian football and Celtic. So I think we could provide hopefully lots of lots of dyslexics in Italy and from the Italian diaspora and generally around the world, in England, America, Germany, or wherever around the world, will invest into, donate to even and stroke or sponsor Italian football and stroke or Celtic and the Italian league, Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and the Super Cup. And help with marketing and branding, which I hope to come to in more details. And they're even giving free footballs and like spaces and places for sports. If I can encourage even just like 10 dyslexic people to do that, that'd be pretty cool. Whether that's in Italy or anywhere else in the world. But if I can encourage hundreds, that'd be even better. But yeah, I think that covers everything. Point number 3. So, but yeah, I'd love to provide free footballs and footballing opportunities for as many Italians and Celts, Celtic fans. I mean, in this case, as possible. Celts is a nickname I didn't make it up, but it's a nickname I use for Celtic supporters. Celtic's playing Roma tomorrow, which is my favourite club team, and therefore it's one of the few times I'd actually want. Whenever they play an Italian team, basically, I want them to lose. And in Europe, I sort of want them to have a Brexit from Europe, which I talked about recently, so they can focus more on domestic games. But moving on, number 4, as I said, I'd love to travel with groups and what I call 1 2 for 1 or share for share, and like for like, a line for line, and like for like. So let's say I've talked about it before. Like if a mosque supports me, I would share Qurans. If a Christian group supports me, I'd share Bibles. If a Hindu group supports me, I'd share, or us, I'd share Bhagavad Gita's, or whoever. I'd share business cards, flyers, leaflets, or any information people want to share. Basically, I hope to return the favour of whoever helps me and that kind of thing. And also think about my own personal ways I would support Italian football and stroke or Celtic. I know I'm trying to think about dyslexics more generally, but I would love for to promote my idea for, which I've been talking about again rather recently. I can't remember when I came up with this idea, but it's not one I've had for that long, I don't think. But I know I have mentioned it before. Again, another bad habit of mine, repeating things. But I suppose repetition till you get to where you want to go, I guess. But I hope to promote my ideas for peace projects, peace through football, and specifically as a fan of Italian football and Celtic, logically, I'm going to naturally encourage investment into Italian football and Celtic more specifically. So I'd love for Italian football. I'd love to work with FIFA and UEFA, which I hope to come to in more details a bit later, especially on Friday, all being well. FIFA Friday, that kind of thing. But working with those football governing bodies and charities and NGOs and peace groups, and that kind of thing. I'd love to encourage the right to resist, like pacifists and conscientious and objecting groups, peace groups and whatnot, as I say. And I'd love to see how Italy could be like. I'd love for Italy and Celtic to act like the Swiss version of, the football version of Switzerland. So like they work with banking and things like that. Again, I know I've talked about those ideas before, but so for instance, if discouraging investing into wars, the weapons trade, the military industrial complex, basically militarism and things like that, and instead encouraging investment into Italian football and stroke or Celtic, so they would be the peace they want to see. And I'd love to help Italy to become military neutral, and maybe even facilitate like peace deals and bring people. Look at how football can be used to make peace and bring people together, peace and love through football, and that kind of thing, which hopefully will improve the image of the beautiful game. And FIFA and UEFA will reward Italian football and Celtic, hopefully with more investment themselves and more access to investment. Talking about access, I was thinking I might include this in point number 5, but I think I'll quickly include this now. I'm talking about access. I think that access to Italian markets for investing in Italian football. I think would be a pretty cool thing as well. So if a company like the PIF or Qatar Sports Investments, or even a company like BT, although it's British Telecom, I suppose, I don't know if they want to go global or if they may have already done so. But I mean, apparently the BBC is a global institution, not just a British one. But and they even sell advertising overseas, even though they're not supposed to advertise or whatever. Obviously, they invest in Italian football somehow, and Stroke or Celtic, they're a great organisation. But so I'm just rumbling there, I don't know if you heard that. But keeps rumbling for some reason. But anyway, it's not that I haven't eaten, but it's probably digesting my food. Anyway, but yeah, access to Italian markets, and I'd love for Italian football fans to sort of say, promote, like help with the PR and basically, I hope investing into Italian football will be good for PR and provide a good ROI, return on investment, and also that, as I say, yeah. So I'm just trying to think of a company like BlackRock or whatever company you can think of, Microsoft, IBM, or whatever, Apple, or Oracle, or whatever. If they invest in Italian football, Antrim or Celtic, well, in Italy's case, if they invest in Italian football, I'd love for them to have access to Italian market. So if they want to go into the Italian market or whatever and target Italian consumers, hopefully one way to do it would be through football. So I think that would be pretty cool. Number 5, so my top goals and dreams on football, as I say, is to help Italian football themselves to be world class and win things. And I'd love to see Italy win the most World Cups. And I'll talk about this before again, sorry, repeat myself, but Italy to win the most World Cups, Italian club teams like AC Milan, Inter Milan, Roma, and whatnot, even rival teams between each other, to win the most, like Europa Leagues, Champions Leagues, Conference Leagues, World Club Cups, Super Cups, and things like that between them, overtaking La Liga, the Spanish league, which is at the top at the moment, which is a bit of a dilemma because they are Mediterranean nations. So I kind of like to see them do well, but then I don't, because they are competition for Italy. They are a competition for Italy, but for Italian football. But yeah, so those are my, and then Celtic to win the most domestic trophies, to make sure they stay ahead of the rankers, as I call them. So I think of my dyslexic interconnected reasoning, thinking like how Italian football could practice at club and country level with Celtic and help each other. So they could help with those goals. So Celtic could help by providing opportunities for Italians to practice against them, and hopefully that will benefit the Italian national team and the club teams, and at the same time it will benefit Celtic as well, ideally. Funny, Italy's manager almost managed Rangers because he used to play for them, the Rankers, as I call them. So he would have went from being manager of my least favourite team to becoming manager of my most favourite team. Interesting one, but anyway, yeah, it would have been a bit of a dilemma because as he played for Italy, like if he did become manager of Rangers, which apparently he was at one point going to be, he would have I would have probably had a bit of a dilemma, like saying, oh, I still hope he does really badly, even though he's a former Italian player or whatever, former player for Italy and AC Milan. But now I wish him the best because he's the manager of Italy. So. Anyway, moving on, number 6. So yeah, I'd love to know what dyslexics can contribute. And I love for dyslexics themselves to get involved in the comments, either on Facebook, Andrew, or YouTube, and say, this is what we feel we could contribute, like dyslexic individuals and groups, or something that you think is a dyslexic strength that could be contributed to Italian football. And it's part of a project idea. I would like to. I'm not at uni or anything. I'm not a student or anything like that. I'm not being into academia or anything like that. But it's just a personal project idea. Well, I say personal, but it's something for dyslexics. So I suppose it's for us personally, but not just me personally, but it's a personal idea of my own at the moment, which I hope to collaborate with others on, as per usual. But with my ideas nowadays, but it's to show what we could do for things like Italian football. So again, I'd love to show what we could do for Italian football, Celtic, and developing nations and that kind of thing, how our thinking could help them. And number 7, on that note, again, Celtic. I was going to wait till point number 7 to mention Celtic again, but yeah, I'd love to see what we could do to benefit Celtic, how we could help them to make sure they stay ahead of the rankers at least, and hopefully become world class and win as many trophies as possible and keep winning. even in Europe in the future. Like I say, whenever Celtic play domestically, I always want them to win. But when they play in Europe, especially against Italian teams in particular, but in many ways, even just generally, I kind of want them to have a Brexit from Europe, just so they can focus on the league, at least for this year. If and when we win a treble, then I think we can focus more onto Europe, because then we'll be ahead. And especially if we get loads of investment, we can have more. If we have a better squad in depth, then we can compete in Europe and win things like I'd love for us to be able to win a Conference League, Europa League, Champions League, World Club Cup, and Super Cup, and that kind of thing. One day in the future, in the next 5 to 10 years, probably. I'd love for us to be able to enter all of those competitions and win them all 5 of them. So, but yeah. I wish there was a way we could get into the Conference League, so it would be more of a level, and then we could win that, and then get more confidence, and then more investment, win the Europa League, and then a Champions League, and that kind of thing, and then even a World Club Cup and a Super Cup, which would be pretty cool. Most of which are trophies Celtic have not won. They've only won the equivalent of the Champions League once, but sadly lost, I think, a final in that one, and a UEFA Cup final. But yeah, helping Celtic to become as world class as possible, helping them to fund like 7-a-side pitches, playing football with Celtic, sharing tactics and things like similar with Italian football. And as I say, like my own interconnected reasoning, for instance, bringing them together. So I hope that all makes sense. But yeah, as I say, I'd love to see Celtic win as many trophies as possible, maybe even like overtaking like Al Ahly, maybe something like that. But I thought it'd be quite interesting if like there was investment into other Egyptian teams to help them to catch up, so that Al Ahly wouldn't win so many trophies, and then Celtic could catch them up. But yeah, I know I was just trying to remember a point I was going to mention, but before I move on to point number 8, I'd say I know I mentioned that I would love for Celtic to be able to give away any prize money they make to charity, to good causes, whether that's locally, nationally, or even internationally, helping the homeless and lots of great things like that, helping ICT for Africa and things like that. But at the same time, yeah, so if they did win a prize money, like if they won a Conference League and won the prize money and then gave it away to charity, obviously they wouldn't have that money to invest in the squad. But if companies matched, and I'd like to think this is my dyslexic creativity, or mad creativity, or whatever, probably, but a method to the madness, as I say. But if they gave, if like 100 companies matched what we gave away to charity, I'll say we as a support, then that money could be reinvested into the club. But anyway, I'll talk more about that another time. I know I talked about that in the past anyway, but I'll probably talk about that more in another day. But number 8, talking about interconnected reasoning, as a connecting things together. I'd love to see, as a supporter of Italian football and Celtic, I guess that's, I'm not saying only dyslexics can think of these ideas, but I think it is a dyslexic trait to connect seemingly random things together. So as I support both, to bring them together, to help them to train, especially at youth level. Number 9, as I say, I'd love to collaborate. So I'd love for other dyslexic people, dyslexic organisations and whatnot, to say these are some of the strengths. I know Made by Dyslexia talks about like this dyslexic thinking being a strength in sports. Obviously, I'm focusing more on football as a supporter of football, in particular Italian football and Celtic. And again, I'd love to see what we can contribute to them, of course. And number 10, practicing at youth level, like so. Italian football and Celtic hosting miniature World Cups for dyslexics around the world, maybe even dyscalculics, dysgraphics, maybe even dyspraxics and groups like that, and that kind of thing. And also, yeah, going over there and sharing our tactics and practicing and playing against them and things like that. I have lots of imaginations of like different groups playing football with different skills, but I'll talk more about that another time. And on that note, sorry it's so long-winded. I guess you're going to get to the point, but my weaknesses. But I'm out, and peace out.